Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invitation today will be delivered by Pastor Mike Masterson from the St. Matthew's Lutheran Church in Fort Worth. Thank you very much for coming out today. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges. Welcome.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, this day these men elected by the people gather to govern and provide leadership for this county. It is an awesome responsibility that they have as they ensure and enhance the quality of life for the people they govern. We pray that they constantly ask for your guidance in their decision process, and that they always seek justice, love compassion, and walk humbly with you. May they have the patience of Job and the wisdom of Solomon, and may they always remember that they serve you by serving your people. We ask this in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Pastor, for coming out today. We appreciate it. Mr. Manius, agenda announcements?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have two announcements relating to the agenda. The first, both of these are under the Administrator's section. The first one is item 8A1. We're going to hold that until after closed today. Also, members of the Court, under 8A8, this is the NTTA letter. We're going to hold that for 1 week. We'll bring that back to you next week. Finally, members of the Court, I'd like to remind you that that on February 28th, we are not going to have Commissioners Court. I believe that the majority of you will be going to NACO, and so we will not have court that day.
Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of January the 24th.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Today we have a couple of resolutions. Commissioner Wynn, I believe you have both of them, in fact. But
Well, yes, sir, Your Honor. Mr. Bonhart was leaving Kennedale, and on behalf of the Commissioners Court, I presented a resolution to him. I'm asking this morning for us to ratify that resolution.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And the second one, Your Honor, we have the honor of welcoming Mr. Michael Klein. And I would like to invite Mr. Michael Klein with Clyde 2 and Judy McDonald to represent the Tarrant County Workforce Solution to come forward. This is really, truly a county-wide honor since you chair the Tarrant County Workforce Solution, and since Commissioner Johnson, you are Mr. Michael Klein's commissioner. I would like to invite both of you to join me in presenting this wonderful resolution to Michael Klein and his organization for being the Texas Workforce Commission Small Business Employer of the Year. Clyde 2 has a manufacturing plant that was moved here about 6 years ago to the city of Mansfield, and employing about 400 people at your organization. So thank you so much for all that you do for our local economy, and for bringing us a great recognition. So thank you so much. So, Your Honor, if you don't mind, please read into the record the resolution, please.
Congratulatory resolution. Whereas Klein Tools Inc. received the statewide Texas Workforce Commission Small Employer of the Year Award at the TWC 20th Annual Texas Workforce Conference in December 2016. And whereas the TWC awards honor private sector employers that are actively involved with the Texas Workforce Solutions and have made a positive impact on employers, workers, and the community. And whereas the family-owned and operated Klein Tools is a global leader among hand tools manufacturers, and the company's Advanced Manufacturing Technology Center has operated in Mansfield since 2010, and whereas the company's Mansfield location currently employs approximately 400 people, with projections for 600 employees by 2018, and whereas in March of 2016, through its first Skills Development Fund grant with Tarrant County College, Klein Tools trained 130 new workers for manufacturing jobs and continues to help local students develop a career pathway into manufacturing. And whereas Klein Tools is a member of the Mansfield Manufacturing Partnership with Workforce Solutions for Tarrant County, Mansfield Economic Development Corporation, and Mansfield Independent School District. And whereas the partnership provides a training program that develops skilled manufacturing employees and offers internships with local manufacturing companies to address the shortage of computer numeric controlled machinists. And whereas Klein Tools continues to lead the charge in putting people to work in Tarrant County by partnering with Workforce Solutions of Tarrant County in their recruiting and hiring activities through workintexas.com, hiring fairs, and the Workforce Solution offices in Tarrant County. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby congratulate Klein Tools, Inc. on the well-deserved statewide honor of TWC Small Employer of the Year, in witness whereof we have herein to set our hands and cause the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 31st day of January 2017.
And I move for its approval.
Second.
A lot of seconds. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I was talking with Mr. Klein earlier, and during Christmas, my son said the only thing he wanted for Christmas, he wanted tools. And he wanted Klein tools, and I didn't have a clue. We had a hard time finding these little things because they're professional, and they're sold mostly to your wholesale suppliers. We found a couple at Home Depot. My wife does most of her shopping online. She found them. Had I just known, then it would have made her life and mine, because I was out shopping. She would tell me, go here, go here, go here. So,
Should have called Commissioner Johnson. We use them at the maintenance garage.
well, because you're professionals and you do that.
Your maintenance garage that you used to have has them.
Well,
You should have known
but
that.
you know, if I'd have gone out and taken those tools from the garage, I'd have been in trouble for a different reason.
We used them when I was with the telephone company for years.
Well, you know why? Because this company has been around for 160 years. It is a family-owned company. I believe you're the 6th generation of family that has participated in this. We were talking earlier, there's one 5th generation that is still involved in the business. But I think you said y'all sell these tools on every continent except Antarctica. So this is not just your little mom and pop
Small business.
small manufacturing. We're proud of you. We are very proud of you and what you represent and the way you represent the community.
So Judge,
Let's go on down there and do that.
How is Generation 7 looking?
There's a lot of girls.
That's cool.
Now, to be politically correct, you could have said, well, they're coming up and they're girls and they're doing great.
So I'd like to thank the court for honoring us with this resolution today. Klein Tools is very happy to be and proud to be a manufacturing member in the city of Mansfield and within Tarrant County. We look forward to continuing to grow here in Texas, and look forward to future endeavors with Tarrant County and Workforce Solutions. So thank you again.
Thank you, man.
That's a neat honor, and we're very proud of Klein Tools.
Thank you.
Okay, Court, you have before you our consent agenda.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. We have two items for the court this morning. The first item, we're asking the court to receive and file the personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our second item, we're asking the court to approve an extension of project employment in information technology. Mr. Irefor is requesting an extension of this individual's employment through August the 13th, and there is no impact to the general fund.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Before we go to the next item, I want to bring Tom up here, and we have a new employee. I think you have a new employee, and I'd like for you to come forth and introduce her.
Make sure you do so properly.
I will introduce it properly, Commissioner. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm here to introduce my newest Assistant Veteran Service Officer, who served as a captain in the United States Army.
Hoorah!
Miss Jennifer Giuliani, who's a Fort Worth native, and she's coming from the Texas Workforce Solutions office in Weatherford. She's going to bring a lot of great knowledge for working with veterans on the employment side, as well as her care and devotion to our veterans and being a veteran herself. So,
Welcome aboard.
welcome. Very
Welcome, Jennifer.
We got a soldier now, so we're good, Commissioner.
That's good. All right. Somebody have to lead the way.
We appreciate y'all very much,
Thank you.
and we appreciate your commitment to our veterans.
Absolutely.
It's very important to us here. Tarrant
Thank
County.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vinny, come on down.
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the court.
Vinny?
Public Health has two items before you for consideration this morning. Item number one is a request for approval to establish a direct billing arrangement with Point Comfort Underwriters for the Public Health Tuberculosis Refugee Program. So the story behind this is that the Texas Medicaid program also exited, or they're exiting today, as the state decided to pull out of the Refugee Services Program. So the federal contractors have chosen another underwriting company to allow for direct billing at Medicaid rates for billable services. This is separate than the grant that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. This is for billable services that we provide to the refugees.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I will say that I had an opportunity to talk with Heather Reynolds yesterday, and it happened to be about this matter. Apparently what has happened is the federal government has divided the state into 4 different regions.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And that the Catholic Charities of Fort Worth is responsible for our particular region, but there's a 5th organization, this is the one I think you're talking about, that they are contracting with to provide all of the medical care and the public health portion of this, and that's going to be a statewide effort by this organization.
Correct.
And so I guess this is the organization that you're talking about.
Right. These will be the underwriters, insurance company type of setup, just replacing the Medicaid side of things. They'll get fundings from the Fed and I guess reimburse it at a Medicaid rate for services that we bill for.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Second item for your consideration this morning is approval to submit a grant application to the American Academy of HIV Medicine for the 2017 Technology in Healthcare HIV Practice Award for the Public Health Department's Preventive Medicine Clinic.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All of these awards should be presented to NACO as achievement awards so that we can be in the competition for the 100 most brilliant ideas in county government.
Sure thing, sir. If we do win, we will bring it back.
Just be sure and submit, and I would say that to a lot of our department heads and elected officials, because we've got some great programs, and we want to make sure that those are put up as examples, because I think first and most important is that they will help other counties the way they've helped us.
Yes.
So, I hope that will happen. Thank you. Commissioner Wynn, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
Yes, sir. Move for the approval of interlocal agreement with the City of Mansfield as described in item 8L1A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Johnson?
I have two interlocals, item 8L2, A, B, C, and D, one with the city, with the Azle Independent School District, the other with the City of Lakeside. I'd move for their approval.
Second.
These have both been approved, have they not?
Yes.
Good.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Appointments, and I know that as we get into the historic, because I know many of you are looking to make historic. Commissioner Fickus, have you, I know that you're kind of the liaison of that group, and I know there's a lot of discussion going on about possible reorganization or change. Do we want to make these appointments prior to resolving what, or getting your recommendations along with the Historical Commission?
I think so. I know that the appointments that I'm making are just reappointments. I'm not adding anybody if anybody else is. I don't think that's a problem. What I have asked Steve Meyer, who's the chair, to do, they want to look at the bylaws of the organization, which I think is a great idea. And I have asked them, and I've talked to Vince and to Sharon Wilson about it, that they give them some assistance at some point. But I've asked them to look at the bylaws and get a broad stroke idea of what they're trying to accomplish before they go sit down with the attorneys. And so that's kind of the process that we're requesting that they do.
One of the things that I had heard mentioned by someone was the possibility of either reducing the size or creating a couple of an advisory deal or an executive type of a thing because of the size and the numbers and sometimes the problem of getting everybody there. So that's why I was a little concerned about.
They have an executive committee already, which is the officer. So there's 36, 35, somewhere in the mid-30s.
I think we each have 7, and some of ours are vacant.
Yeah.
But we each have 7, and then I think there's 4 or 5 at large.
Yeah.
So there could be as many as 40 people.
Yeah. It's a big group. I haven't heard that they've had quorum problems. They generally have, their attendance is a whole lot better today than it probably was 5-6 years ago. So, you know.
So you don't anticipate a lower, a restructure where the board or anything like that might be a lower number? Because once we do it, these are 2-year appointments.
Not at this point, so.
I did talk to Steve Meyer as well, and he did not mention a concern about the size of the board, but rather he mentioned some concern about financial needs. Because he showed me some of the initiatives that the state expects them to do.
Right.
And to carry out some of those initiatives, they just can't do it on voluntary basis. They may need some help.
They need a professional, and we've just got I think GK's been involved in these discussions, and they need somebody to help them assess the properties that they want to declare as historical, and there's a process you go through, and there's a certification required, and I think, I won't say there's a disagreement at all, but there's a question of how do we provide that? And I think it's our feeling, meaning GK and myself, that we're not looking for a full-time employee to do that. We're looking for a contract person who we can utilize when we need them for that service. There are people that do that. And there are some cities and counties that actually have a full-time employee. I think Fort Worth has one. And we want to see if there's some way we can piggyback with somebody to get our services provided. And so
one of the projects that Steve talked about was they had to go out there throughout the county and take pictures and document all the historical bridges in Tanton County. We have a lot of historical bridges in Tanton County. So that's an example of the kind of assistance that the commission needs.
Yeah. Well, and again, there's ways to do that, other than going and hire a professional photographer, a couple $100 an hour. So I don't think that's our intent. Their budget right now used to be $3,500. We added $500 to it.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that area.
About $4,000, pretty low. But we want to be sure that it's not all of a suddenly, it's $104,000.
We may need an agenda item to fully vet this.
So can I make some appointment?
You bet.
Yeah, I like to make a motion to reappoint Ms. Dorothy Rancarel, Ellen Timberlake Votes, and Pam Holland to the Tanton County Historical Commission. And these are reappointments.
And if I may add to that number, Cynthia Wilson Arick, Joe Pirtle, Billy Joe Gabriel, Andrew Sanders, Natalie T. Johnson, Sarah Walker, and Colita Strickland. Those are reappointments as well.
I want to add, if I might, Irvin Howe, Jim Hodgson, and accept the letter of resignation from Susan Taylor. She's been on the commission for 10 years and has requested that she's ready to not be reappointed.
And on that note, Mr. Ron Austin has also resigned his service from the Historical Commission as well.
I'll name mine at a later date. I have one more that I need to contact.
And I will reappoint Doug Harmon, Rick Seltzer, Robert Holmes, Patricia Ward, and Jack Edmondson.
I'll second all of that.
Okay. We have a motion, a second. Did you get them all? Okay. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have two items to bring to you this morning. The first concerns a public health update, mainly dealing with the flu. Mr. Tenaja is here to address the court at this time.
So this morning, we're going to get a little update on the influenza situation for this year. As you all know, influenza season got underway somewhere in October, the weather sort of cooperated with us, and we haven't seen, the rapid increase that we typically see in the previous years. But just to kind of work you guys through a little bit of flu basics to get everybody on the same page. So what is the flu? It is a viral illness, a respiratory illness caused by the flu viruses, influenza viruses, and it affects the lungs and the upper airway. Mostly people get symptoms like high fever, sore throat, body aches. Typically people describe as being run over by a bus or a truck, that feeling that you just can't get up and go. It really hurts. So how does it get diagnosed? Very easy. If you go to like a minute clinic or a walk-in type of clinic, then usually they will do a rapid test to figure out if it's an influenza. They're not very good early in the season, but when the flu activity is high, they're very, very good and very accurate at determining that flu is here. And then also there's a laboratory test that can be done, and they take a nasal swab and send it in for PCR testing. And that's where you can get like further details that this was not only influenza A, it was influenza AH1N1 or H3N2 and all those other technical details. How does it get treated? Quite simply, Tamiflu or oseltamivir, a couple other, Relenza is I think the brand name. These medications, they're antivirals, and they can be very rapidly used to treat the flu. They cut short the duration. They're most effective when started within the first 48 hours of symptoms. After that, their efficacy goes down, but they're still helpful. And if taken in time and properly, then usually they can cut short the duration to as little as 3 days. Otherwise, typically it can last up to 7 to 10 days. And how do we prevent the flu? So that's the main message. Really the vaccine, the flu shot is the main preventer. This year, CDC recommended against using the nasal spray vaccine. Last year, they were having some efficacy problems with the vaccine, so they're trying to figure out what happened with that and doing a reset on that. So only the flu shot is recommended this year. It's a killed vaccine. It does not give people the flu because that's a common question that gets asked. Other things that we all know, but we don't tend to do a lot of times, is hand washing repeatedly throughout the day with warm soap and water. A lot of times, even in schools, the tendency is to offer the hand sanitizers. They are a good add-on solution when you don't have access to warm water and soap, but all throughout the day, warm water and soap are the best prevention using hand washing to prevent flu, other viruses and illnesses that happen during the wintertime. Covering your coughs and sneezes, that's also key, and to sneeze in your sleeve is the new thing, because if you sneeze in your hands, well then, a lot of folks are not washing their hands. And then staying home when sick. And that's a challenge a lot of times because we all feel good in a couple of days and we want to come back. Well, you can spread the flu still if you come back too soon. So it's recommended that at least 4 to 5 days stay at home if you've been diagnosed with the flu, and then come back later after you've had antivirals and so forth and really feeling good. So another term that's thrown around is called influenza-like illness. So the definition for that is a fever of equal to or 100 or more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit with a cough and or a sore throat in the absence of any other known cause other than influenza. So if they've ruled out everything else and it's in the season and it looks like flu, it probably is the flu. So they use it as a good gauge of flu activity in the community. And this can be used even without using a rapid test. You can treat empirically if needed. But the rapid tests are becoming more and more common, so people are using those. So just for situational awareness, here's the national picture. This was the week ending January 21st. That's the latest data that we have. In Texas, the activity is low, in general overall. But Oklahoma and a couple other states in the southeast, as you can see, they're all getting to high activity at this time. So there's about 5 states that are in high activity and a few handful that are in getting there. They're in a moderate to high area. Texas in general is low at this point. However, the activity has increased in Texas also over the last couple of weeks. We've seen increasing trends, and here's a detailed map of what's going on in Texas. So you're starting to see some counties that are in red. That doesn't mean they have high activity. It means that they have, culture-confirmed influenza A and B cases occurring, and that's a good indicator that the activity is there. And with the increasing trend over the last couple of weeks in Texas and in Tarrant County, we're expecting that we're approaching the season highs at this time. Here's a quick look at what's happening this year. It's very typical with the flu seasons. It affects the seniors disproportionately. This is very different than what we saw during the H1N1 outbreak. It affected the young and the mobile population more. But typical flu seasons look like this, where the seniors are very disproportionately affected with the flu, lots of hospitalizations, some deaths occasionally do occur. And that's why the focus has always been to remind seniors to take their flu shot early in the season and use all other protective measures that are in play. Year-over-year comparison in Texas, this year is the line in red, 2016-17 season. We have seen an increasing trend over the last few weeks, but it's nothing compared to the previous couple of years. By this time, we had either a major peak or two major peaks over the last couple of years. And so this year, we're sort of trending up, but not too bad. Similar picture is shown in Tarrant County, and this is all influenza-like illness surveillance and not the actual confirmed testing on flu, but it's a good gauge of what's going on in the community. Anecdotal reports are there, obviously people coming in to hospital ERs, to doctor's offices with influenza-like illness, but we're seeing about 50% positivity rate on testing, so rest everything is other illnesses that may mimic the flu. But increasing trend, the idea is not to get complacent. Typically, we do see the flu peak somewhere in February, so we're approaching that time, and we need to do all we can to prevent the flu. Here's a quick look at the flu positives. These are laboratory confirmed positives, and it gives you an idea. Like I said, we're seeing anywhere between 50 to 70% test results come back positive. So when the doctors think it is the flu and they do send in a PCR sample for testing, about 50 to 70% of the time it is coming back positive, and that trend has increased over the last few weeks. The big red bars, they show you, different kinds of flu viruses now that have come up on further testing. The big predominant strain this year is the influenza A H3N2. Good news with all of these strains that are listed here, that all 4 strains are available in the quadrivalent flu shot, so it's a good match this year. So if we do take the vaccine, it's likely that it will protect us. And now the catch is, it is the killed vaccine, it's the flu shot. Typically that's, about 60 to 65% effective. So if I was to give it to 100 people, about 65 will get immunity, 35 will not get immunity. It's just how it works. Another thing that sometimes causes problems, these are the predominant strains that we're finding. We're also finding what is called the H3N2 variant, which is not in the vaccine and sometimes can break through. So people who have the vaccine, they might still get the flu. Either they were one of those 35% of folks who didn't get immunity, or they got a variant strain of some kind and ended up getting the flu. So it does occur. It's not a perfect solution, but it's the best we have at this point. And this is just a local look of what's going on in our laboratory at Tarrant County Public Health. Similar picture, we're getting H3N2 as the predominant strain as we diagnose as well, very similar to what the state lab was doing. So the numbers are looking very, very similar. So in general, what does this mean for us? Like I said, we are increasing, but we haven't really hit a major peak, and it wasn't as early as the last couple of years. So it's not a bad season in Tarrant County so far, but that doesn't mean we need to get complacent. If people have not taken their flu shot, now is the time to do it, especially seniors. Seniors, as you can see on the national picture, are getting disproportionately ill with the flu, getting a lot of hospitalizations. There have been a few deaths reported. So it's the time to take the flu shot. It's not late. Do it now. And if you're a senior, you need to ask for the high-dose flu shot vaccine because that provides more immunity and more of a chance for the body to react. And also ask for the quadrivalent with the 4 flu viruses in there. So all those key things are important for folks to understand. Everybody else needs to do their part, take the vaccine, wash their hands, stay home when sick. And with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vinny.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vinny.
Your Honor, Members of the Court, we have one final item on the briefing, and that concerns the legislative issues. Mr. Mendez has given you a packet. There's one thing I do want to point out, though, and what's happening in the Senate. The Senate Finance Chair, Senator Nelson, our senator, has put together a new budget working group and has tasked them to come up with ways to overhaul the state school finance system. You might remember that school finances, as far as impact on local ad valorem taxpayers, our citizens, is over 60% of the tax bill that the property tax covers in Texas or in Tarrant County is for school taxes. So at least they're beginning to look at that particular system. I'll be more than happy to try to answer any questions you may have on this. Thank you. Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
Okay, we're going to recess, but, and when we come back, Mary Louise had an employee, Kelly Lawhorn, who we celebrated her 25th anniversary with the county back in October of 2016, and she passed away this past Saturday. So we will close the court eventually in memory of her. At this time, we will recess our open meeting, proceed to close to discuss items exempted under section 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code.
All right, sir. Next
I
week.
said, it's terrible that she has retired and then passed away, just retired. That's why we want to keep working.
I'll tell you what,